Judge James Boasberg, extending his hold on deportations under the Alien Enemies Act for at least another 2 weeks. President Trump using that law to send suspected Venezuelan gang members to El Salvador. Now, House Republicans looking to rein in the power of federal judges with a hearing set for next week. Let's bring in House Judiciary Committee member Darrell Issa of California, who's also on the Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, thank you very much for being here. This news this afternoon that we just saw a judge in Massachusetts also take an action against what the administration is trying to do with respect to these deportations. Obviously, you've got the Supreme Court taking up the Alien Enemies case. You as a member of Judiciary, how do you think that this is going to play out at the Supreme Court level?
Well, I welcome the High Court quickly taking this case up. You know, when you have a law that's been on the books for more than 200 years and it's stood the test of time, the court needs to recognize that any interference with the commander-in-chief's authority really does limit the executive branch in an unfair way. Having said that, obviously you've got an activist judge, one of many, who is abusing the term district in his title of district court judge. And that's what we're going to rein in. The hearing on Tuesday is going to highlight these abuses, but more importantly, it's going to do what it needs to do, which is to find that no matter who's in the White House, no matter which party, we need to make sure that district judges do district work. And if you want a national injunction, there's a procedure to get to it, and it's not to pick somebody, one of 670 judges that'll rule the way you want and then slap the president daily outside of his or her jurisdiction.
What options does Congress have to rein in these nationwide injunctions? I mean, what would that legislation potentially look like?
Well, it looked like the one that we put out, although, there are still areas in which we're allowing for national injunctions. A good example is under the last administration when more than 16 attorneys general came as one class and made an appeal for a national injunction. It was reasonable to grant it based on so many divergent states and then let the High Court decide. But when you have what's clearly not the jurisdiction of the judge, the judge didn't even know who was on the airplane, and yet he felt that he could act quickly. So we are going to rein it in. But here's the important point for all your viewers to understand. The Supreme Court is a constitutional court, just as the president and Congress is. All these other courts are created by Congress and written into statute as to what they're to do. And it's not an accident that we called them district court judges. Their jurisdiction is against a plaintiff who has nexus in that district and over that district. And that first part is important because some of these judges don't even have a plaintiff who can demonstrate that they have any relationship to the district in which it's being filed. So it's a flagrant violation of what the statute was that created their office.
It'll be interesting to watch that play out. One more, though, getting back to the issue of the Alien Enemies Act. I was interested to see how the appellate court ruled on this. Obviously, the administration lost on that 2-1, but the Trump appointee dissented. And I wonder if, with the court, the High Court being the makeup that it is, with the justices that the president has put on that court, if maybe, he stands a better chance for a favorable interpretation for what they're looking for. But separate from that, do you at all compare this to how Congress had to sort of come up with rules for the authorization of use of military force, for instance, AUMF?
Well, it is very similar that if we're not going to declare war and yet we're going to have the president have an extended use of authority, such as we did after World War II against the spread of communism, we did so using a procedure that did not drag us into a wider conflict. In this case, we're doing the same thing. We're defining it so that it can be used when appropriate and not when it isn't. But back to that 2-1 ruling, I remember the late Antonin Scalia, and the most brilliant things I ever saw in my life were his motions in defense, when he was in the minority saying what was wrong. And many of the cases that he failed on earlier on have since been reversed based on his writings. So when somebody is dissenting, I think that's what you should read, and that's what the high court's going to read.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being here. Fascinating to watch how this all plays out. Congressman Darrell Issa, I hope to talk to you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Will Cain. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Cain podcast for full episodes right now.